hei, tšau, tšau, ma alustan lühidalt eesti keeles, aga siis ma lähen kohe inglise keele peale, et täna on väga eriline võimalus, selline boonusvõimalus ja räägime siis sellise ägeda mehega nagu Bruce'iga. Bruce Muzik'u. Hi, Bruce.
I imagine you were just introducing me. Hi, everyone.
I just said a few words in Estonian and then just turned right into English because then you understand as well. But
hey, you can talk behind my back if you like, no problem.
Anyways, I'm super glad to have you, Bruce, here because, we coming here over the years, I didn't know much about what you're doing on the business side, but, always when I come here, you're just the best person to be around. Like, you're just always so warm, so welcoming, so like kind, and like, everybody wants to be around you. And we love that. Me and Brett both, you're one of our favorite person. And it was super cool to this year also understand and hear a little bit more about what you're doing on the business side as well, and in the coaching business and all that, and that you've been able to build that to that level in such a, I would say, like effective way. and that's, what our mastermind members would definitely love to hear as well. And then that's what we're here for. So
awesome.
Let's dive, I guess let's dive just into it then, but maybe you just give a little bit of background of, what do you do in your coaching business, maybe a little bit of how long you've been doing that and where you are with it. So just to get an overview.
Okay, perfect. Well, before I do that, I just want to ask everybody, if you just, like, if you are a coach or in the coaching business, just raise your hand so I can see visually how many of you are coaches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, almost everybody whose video is on is a coach. Okay, so I kind of know the general audience that I'm talking with, and I can structure it accordingly. So I'm Bruce. I came here on a kite surfing holiday in the Dominican Republic like 15 years ago, and I planned to be here for 2 weeks, and I ended up staying, and it's now been 15 years I've been here. And I came here after a divorce, and that getting divorced really kind of had me start looking at relationships in my life. It was an area, I'd always been teaching personal development, but I'd never really explored romantic relationships. And I got really interested in learning about relationships. And to cut a very long story short, after 3 years of kind of immersing myself in reading and learning about relationships and sharing everything I was learning with my friends, I kind of found myself in a situation where more and more people were telling me, Bruce, you should think about doing this as a career. And I had formerly been a seminar leader and public speaker, and our mutual friend Eric and I had been traveling the world speaking on stages together. And I thought, well, I'd never really thought about building a relationship coaching business, but what if I went and got qualified as a relationship coach? Maybe I'd learn a thing or two. I just wasn't actually really thinking about doing it. So I got several qualifications to help couples and thought, let me tried it out, realized I kind of liked it. And all of the business knowledge that I had gathered from my previous businesses came together. And this one took off and flew at a rate I never really expected to have happen. And so what I do essentially is I help couples in struggling marriages communicate, connect, stay together, resolve their issues, and build a foundation in their relationship that helps them become a team and builds the kind of relationship that supports their success in every other area of life. And so that's what I'm passionate about doing. I have a business called Love at First Fight, not Love at First Sight, loveatfirstfight.com. And what I'm hoping to share with you guys today is a little bit about my journey in a way that's useful for you, so that you can take away some of the nuggets that I've learned and not make some of the many hundreds of mistakes I've made along the way, and save yourself a whole lot of heartache. So that's and money. That's what I'm planning to do.
Yeah, well, that sounds awesome. And you really managed to, what you told me, that you managed to build a 7-figure business and having only one like full-time person. Is that what you?
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct.
That sounds like, it's like, how can we?
Actually, up until 2 weeks ago, I only had one person working with me, my wife.
No, it's good.
And we traveled around the world. In fact, we spent 2 years on the back of our dirt bikes, traveling around South America, running our business. That's how portable this business was that I built, it wasn't that we just had one, two of us in it. It's that it was so mobile. We put our laptops in our backpacks, bought 2 motorbikes, and rode on motorbikes from, the south of South America to Colombia, and then all the way back down again, and spent 2 years living in a tent of our motorbikes, running our business. So yeah, it's a pretty extraordinary business in that sense. Not many people know that, but yeah.
Yeah, but what's the foundation of building something like that? Because it's like, how many of you would like to have business like that?
Yeah,
or something similar. Like,
yeah,
most would like to, like, you have a business that brings in like good revenue, and also that but you're not like slave to their business, like,
exactly.
that you're like all the time there. So how do you get?
I think
you start doing there.
It's so I've prepared some notes, guys. I bought my little book and I spent half an hour scribbling some notes on what I want to teach. And actually, this is the very first point: is you've got to start with a very clear vision of how you want your lifestyle to be. And today, specifically, I'm going to be talking about creating a lifestyle business. This is not a business that's going to probably turn into a huge corporation. That's not what I'm interested in. I don't want to be running a huge corporation. I want to be kite surfing on the beach, hanging out with my good friends, spending time with my family, dirt biking, traveling the world. That's what I personally am interested in. I'm not interested in business at all, other than being interested in business for the sake of what it can provide me. Like where Eric, our mutual friend, he loves business. He studies business. Like, I'm like, no, I don't want to build multiple businesses. Like,
Harry is one of Wildfit coaches. He's like, oh, that proves that Eric also went dirt biking in Africa.
Yes, exactly. I dragged Eric onto a dirt bike into Africa. Yeah, I'm that Bruce.
We're actually in Eric's house at the moment.
Yeah, we're sitting in Eric's house because he's the one who has the most reliable internet in the town.
And he's out of town. So
he's out of town. So we've just like broke in. Anyway, so the idea is to have a clear vision in mind for what you want. And for me, it all started out with realizing that I want to be dirt biking around the world. I want to travel the world on a motorcycle with my wife. And whatever I do in my life needs to be able to support that, including my business. And I got very clear on what that was for me. Now, obviously, it's going to be very different for you, what you want to have happen in your life. But here's why that's important. After that, every single decision-making process that you go through, every important decision that you make in your life has got to kind of meet the criteria of, will this serve my vision? If I make this decision now, if I hire these 5 people, will my vision still come true? Like, will I still be able to ride my motorbike around the world if I've got a team of 25 people that I'm managing? No, I won't. Will I still be able to, accomplish my vision if I'm leading live seminars, once a week? No, I don't want to be leading live in-person seminars. I did that for 5 years with Eric, and I burnt out traveling the world, living in airports and hotels. I'm done with that. I thought it was glamorous at the time, but it actually didn't support my dream. So I think that's step 1. You've got to get really clear on what and I'm going to use these specific words, your average ideal day, right? Do a little vision exercise. What does my average ideal day look like? Not your best day ever, your average day. What does your average day in the life of you look like? How many hours a day are you working? Where are you working? I saw myself sitting on a beach in a coffee shop with a laptop for 1 or 2 hours a day. That was kind of what it looked like for me. And then kind of jumping on my motorcycle with my wife, putting laptop in the backpack and riding off to the next town that we wanted to visit. That was my dream. And so every decision that I made after that was like, does this fulfill that dream? So people would call me saying, hey, can we do a partnership and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, can I see myself doing this on the back of a motorcycle, working 2 hours a day from a laptop? Nah, sorry, dude, not going to work. And I would turn it down. And I sometimes joke that I think the secret to my personal success has been saying no more than I say yes, because my vision allows me to know what to say no to.
Yeah.
And while it may sound like it's very big picture and woo-woo, and it is, if that informs every decision you make, you're going to zigzag towards your dream much faster than if, you're following somebody else's idea or somebody else's dream. So that's kind of step 1. And then step 2 is automate, 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 automate. So step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, step 6, automate is basically the next secret in the story. And I want to share with you a story. Went back from maybe 15 years ago when Eric Edmeades and I were working together, and we were leading seminars for a guy called Roger Hamilton, who developed a technology called Wealth Dynamics. And I saw Roger, well, Roger taught me how to lead this piece, and I was leading the seminar to the audience, and and it was a seminar for Roger. And I would have to ask the audience this set of questions that were designed to get them to a particular realization. And so I'd kind of get everybody to stand up in the audience. So imagine 100 people standing up in the room, and I'd say to them, I want you to stay standing if you could get sick for 2 days and your business would still run without you. Okay? Everybody stayed standing. And I said, okay, stay standing if you could get sick for 2 weeks and your business would not be impacted at all if you didn't go to work for 2 weeks. Maybe 5 people in the room sat down. And then I would say to them, stay standing if your business would allow you to get sick for a month and not go to work for a month and wouldn't be impacted. 70% of the room sat down. And I said, stay standing if you could disappear from your business for an entire year and it wouldn't be impacted. Out of 100 people in the room, there were 2 people left standing. And this was kind of pretty normal. That's how it usually went. And then I would ask those 2 people, how much could I buy your business for, please? And they would all shake their head and say, I'm not selling. And I'd say, why? And they'd say, well, why would I want to sell a business where I don't need to show up to work and it pays me a salary every month? I'm like, my point exactly. So I'd ask those 2 people, like, you know, how do you do it? And they're like, well, I outsource everything and I automate it. And that really stuck with me, that exercise. And when I was building my own businesses throughout the year, I realized that if I want to be free to live my life the way I choose to live it, I cannot be working in my business full-time doing everything. But if I want to work because I love my work, and that's the problem, many people I talk about this to, like, well, I don't want to remove myself from my business. I don't want to be a manager or a business owner. I love my work like I do. I love helping couples save their marriages. Then I want to be free to choose who I work with and when I work with them. And so that's what I'm offering you here today, is a kind of like a shortcut plan for how to do that. And that's the big reason why. You want to start with your vision first and your ideal day first, is so that you can end up with a business where it runs without you. And this is where automation comes in. Make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Robbie accepted this.
Robbie, exactly. That's Eric's dog.
Okay, so it's at the point number 2, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, 7. Automate.
So I got a couple of like areas that you want to automate, and I want you to please interrupt me if there's questions in the chat. If you can keep an eye on the chat, and like we can answer questions at any point. I don't want to take too long with the teaching part, because I'm sure a lot of the teaching is going to happen through your questions too. But as I was sitting down this morning, kind of jotting down how I built a 7-figure business, mostly with actually just me, before I even hired my wife as my first customer service kind of assistant. And the only reason I hired her particularly was that we wanted to go riding around South America on our motorbikes, and she needed to work. She's a chef, and she couldn't, you know, she'd have to quit her job because you can't really do pastry chefing on the back of a dirt bike traveling around the world. And I knew she'd get bored unless, you know, she had something to do, and she needed a way to earn money. So I said, well, why don't you just take over customer service? And that's how I got her involved. So this essentially the way I see it. And bear in mind, I'm not the world's leading expert on building remote businesses, but I've read a lot and spoken, but I've done it. And so, you know, there may be some holes in here. This is what worked for me. Okay, so that's my caveat. There are 4 basic areas that I've kind of thought about this morning. We need systems to manage time. We need systems to manage product delivery, we need systems to manage marketing, and we need systems to manage customer service. Okay, those are the 4 areas: time, product delivery, marketing, and customer service. What I think about is, how do I automate all of those 4 areas? So how do you automate time? I don't know if that's, I'm sure I could put it in a better category, but the way I think about this is, everything we do in life that we need to do ourselves is unreliable unless it is scheduled in some way that prompts us to do it. So if I'm keeping everything stored up here in my head or in a to-do list of all the things I need to do every week in order to run my business successfully, I'm always going to forget something, because my brain is not going to remember everything in all the complexity of running a business. So you have to learn how to automate your time and have a decent time management system. And it starts off with something as simple as using a calendar, not using a paper calendar in a notebook. That's just never going to cut it for automated tasks. But getting good with Google Calendar or any kind of automated calendar, and automating in the calendar everything that happens repetitively. So for example, if I have a weekly thing that I need to do, it goes repeatedly in my calendar. I'm sure 70% of you on this call are already doing this. But for the other 30% who aren't, I want to just say that this is the most important thing to get right first. If you don't have a way to manage your time reliably, things will fall between the cracks and you will be scrambling, always putting out fires, because it'll be chaos in your business because nothing is actually reliable. Now, ideally, what you want to have is any automated task that your staff are doing for you also goes into their calendar and gets automated. And that should start off with a single point, like a single entry point when you hire a new staff member. So if you're hiring a staff member, they need to get a list of items that they are going to put in their calendar to start with. That way, every accountability that they have automatically goes into their calendar, and they are prompted by their calendar to do that thing reliably over time. Nod your head, guys, if this is making sense. If it's not making sense, I won't continue and I'll go slowly. Is it making sense? Okay. All right. Perfect. Awesome. So the idea is, and I'm kind of jumping a little bit into hiring protocols here as well. But as you start to hire staff members and outsource the stuff that you do every day, it's got to go into a document that your new staff member has to prompt them to put something in their calendar so that they're prompted to do things on time at a specific time every week or every day or whenever the thing happens. So the best way to start this time management system is for you to write down a list of what do I do repetitively every day, and you're going to call that like your recurring stuff. And what do I do one-off every day, like things that just show up out of the blue, like I don't know, I can't even think of anything right now, but you guys get the idea. Like what do I do that's repetitive and that can be automated in a calendar? And you write that down. And then eventually you're going to have a list of all the tasks that you do, divided into 2 categories: things that are repetitive and things that are kind of one-offs. So like a one-off thing might be, just help me, I've gone so blank.
Running like it's like,
okay, an interview. Okay. And so you're then going to divide all of the things that you do into various roles. Like, is it a customer service thing? Is it a marketing person thing? And in the beginning, you're going to be doing everything yourself because you're a solo entrepreneur, probably like me right now, who's just doing everything, or like I was, should I say, who's doing everything by yourself. And then what I started to do from the beginning, before I even had employees, was I would delegate each of those tasks to a future employee that I hadn't hired yet. And I would start an accountabilities file for that employee. So with all the calendar things that they would have to do and put in their calendar every week. So when I did hire that person, I knew exactly what to train them in, and they knew exactly what to put in their calendar to prompt them every week to do the thing so that nothing fell between the cracks. And so with me working off my calendar and them working off their calendars, everything is automated, meaning it may not be automated by a computer system, but it's in a calendar that automates another human being to go off and do that thing. Is this making sense, guys? Not if it's making sense.
Can you give some examples? Like you use like Google Calendar or?
Yeah, so we had a very simple setup. We have Google Calendar, Google Docs, and just shared access. You can get a Google Workspace account and just have shared access. And so, and then in a Google Doc, I would put together all of the various tasks for the person. I call them accountabilities. So for our customer service person, they are accountable for answering emails. They're accountable for moderating Facebook comments. They're accountable for responding to text messages. So let's just say those three, okay? So then first thing in the morning, they're going to log in, and in their calendar, in the document, there's a thing that says put into your calendar from 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock every day to work on Gmail, basically answer emails. Then from 11 o'clock to 12 o'clock, you're going to do Facebook moderation. Then from 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock, you're going to answer the text messages. Then you're going to have a lunch break. That goes into your calendar, your lunch break. Then from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock, you're going to go back to Gmail. Then on the first of every month, you're going to run this procedure that schedules our next course. Then on the second Tuesday of every month, you're going to do our accounting procedure. And all of that was in the Google document, so that when I hired them, all of this went straight into their calendar as they accepted each accountability and were trained on each accountability. Now, each of these accountabilities also comes with an instruction manual, a procedure on how to do it. So I started writing the procedures not writing them, filming the procedures. So I would make screen recording videos for the future staff members that I hadn't hired yet. And then I would get outsource people on Fiverr.com to write them down into an actual procedure. Okay. So by the time I hired my customer service person, they had all of their accountabilities in a Google Doc. They had screen recordings of me doing each accountability. So I didn't have to spend 2 weeks training them to come on board. They could train themselves from home. And they had a procedure. Sometimes my procedures are 30, 40 pages long to do a 4-hour accountability. Like scheduling a new course takes 4 hours. We've got a whole bunch of computer systems that need to be blah, 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 blah. They had all this stuff. And so I'd hire them. I'd say, great, off you go, train yourself. I expect you to be trained within 2 weeks. If you have any questions, I'm always here. But all the questions are all in our Google Docs, starting with your accountabilities Google Doc, which has the calendar stuff, the videos, links to the videos, and links to the procedures. Enjoy, knock yourself out. And I sat back and continued my life, not having to train a staff member, because I automated from the beginning when I was a solo entrepreneur, working just me, myself, and I. And I think that underlines a really important principle that I live by, and that I think will really help you guys build your coaching business. And that is, start with the end in mind. So imagine you are already running a multi-million-dollar, coaching business. What decisions do you need to make now to support it? So maybe you're thinking about getting a email provider that sends bulk email for you. And you're looking at going for the cheapest one because you only have a mailing list of 1,000 people right now. Well, rather than look at the cheapest one, maybe look at what's going to be the most effective for me when I have 100,000 people on my mailing list. Because I'm sending about 100,000 emails a day at the moment. And the software that was the cheapest was Aweber. That was like $15 a month. But it didn't do all the complicated stuff that I knew I would need. I didn't need it at the time. But I was like, you know what? The pain of upgrading from Aweber to something like ActiveCampaign. ActiveCampaign was like $80 a month at the time. And this was before I really had all that many clients. And that was a big stretch, going from $15 a month to $80 a month. I was like, but I knew that if I outgrew Aweber, I would have to start again and rebuild everything from scratch later on in my business. And it would cause a nightmare. I was like, let me just pay the $80 a month now and grow with ActiveCampaign, which is a much more complex system that can automate everything. And I'm going to talk a bit about ActiveCampaign and why I chose that in a moment. And so the idea is begin with the end in mind. Think about what you're going to need as you grow, plan to grow. So that's automating time and using a calendar. If you haven't yet taken any kind of time management course, do yourself a favor. It will change your life. It'll take a week for you to do. If you know you're like me and you're very unstructured, kind of creative kind of person, getting some structure in your life, like this man, he's naturally structured. I can tell. No, I can tell. You're on Myers-Briggs, you're a J. You're super structured because you've managed to organize your life such that you're here.
It's good that it shows like that.
Okay, so
I have team members who are structured, so that's
all right. Well, that's also another way.
Yeah,
like you were good at outsourcing. That's amazing. So the second thing I want to talk about was product delivery automation. That's the second area. One of the things that will take up all your time is if you're manually fulfilling products. So if you're getting on the phone with clients and talking to them all the time, you're screwed. You'll never be able to scale. By all means, do that when you choose to and when you want to, but that is not a sustainable coaching business. You cannot be talking to your clients all day long, or at least all of them, because then you'll be tied to a phone, to a Zoom call. And that's the one thing I never wanted to do because I couldn't do that on the back of a motorbike riding around the world. So I started off by leading group coaching programs instead. And I started coaching couples in a group. And we have sometimes 300 couples on a call asking me questions. And I set it up so I would be doing, one call a week. But then as I grew, I was doing 2 calls a week. And then I was doing 10 calls a week. And I was chained to my phone doing group coaching calls. So then I was like, wow, we're making great money. And I'm talking to, thousands of people and making a huge difference. But I'm starting to hate my job again because I'm just on the phone all day long. Now, I could have trained other coaches, but like Eric's done, and he's done that very successfully. But for me, that impeded on my freedom. Coaches need management. That requires more staff, more interviews. Me writing a training program for coaches now, that's a whole year's worth of my life done right there. Learning, figuring out how to train coaches to do what I do. And I was like, that's not the way I want to grow. I remember I want a lifestyle business. I want to be riding motorbikes around the world. So for me, I was like, no, the solution for me is creating a product that takes me out of the picture completely and creating an automated coaching, an automated kind of video program without the group coaching element. I always had the video program. And I built that after working one-on-one with my clients for about 6 months over the phone, learning what their needs were, learning how I could support them. And then I wrote a video program in 3 months, launched the thing, and I led that thing for basically 10 years, with me doing 1 call with each group every single week. And that was wonderful. It was a great way for me to really understand my customers as well. And when I finally refilmed the program 2 years ago, I got a chance to rebrand it and take myself out of it and sell it as a standalone home study course without me. And now what we're doing is we're upselling the group coaching element, which costs them a lot more money, which means I get less customers, thank goodness, that want to work one-on-one with me or in a group setting with me. And that way, now I'm back to doing 1 60-minute call every 2 weeks. So instead of doing a call every week, with this new course, I was like, if you want the group coaching option, it's every 2 weeks. And we've limited the group to like 50 people. So I basically work now for 1 hour every 2 weeks on product delivery. That's it. That's my product delivery. The rest is all automated. Everybody else buys the home study course. It happens behind the scenes. I don't even show up. And we're getting about between 700 and 1,000 new customers a week right now going through that. A certain percentage of them opt for the group coaching option, and then they get a chance to talk to me once every 2 weeks. And a smaller percentage of those people get to buy a very expensive one-on-one consulting call with me if they want to. And I maybe do, I don't know, 3 of those a month. And even that's starting to feel like too much at the moment. because I've been doing this for a long time. I'm like, I'm 50 now. I want to retire and start getting on with other things. And so the only reason I was able to free myself from the group coaching, or the only way I was able to free myself, was to remove myself completely by building a home study video program. And I would highly recommend that to all of you guys. I'm not saying you should quit being a coach if you don't want to. Do whatever works for you. But for me, I had too many clients, and there's no way I can service 1,000 new clients a week on the phone, one-on-one. That's just impossible. But there's something else that doing it this way will turn you into that you might not expect. I think, and this is not me trying to be arrogant or anything, I think I'm probably in the top 5 best relationship therapists on planet Earth. And I don't know this, but I know my clients tell me I'm the best they've ever seen. But here's why. Because of the large volume of people I'm exposed to, so 4,000 new clients a week for 10 years, I was talking to hundreds of people about their relationship problems every week. Most coaches are talking to 3 people, 4 people a day, tops. I was talking to sometimes 1,000 people a day in these calls, right? In the group coaching calls. That gave me the opportunity to understand what they're dealing with in a way that no other human could, because nobody else has I don't know any other relationship counselors out there who are doing this large an amount of group work. And so what that has given me is an ability to recognize patterns at a very high level. I can talk to a couple now, and within 3 minutes of hearing them talk, I can tell them their life story of their marriage, because I can just hear the certain trigger words that trigger 10 years of pattern recognition in my brain. And I go, oh, I know the solution. You don't have to say anything more. I got it. I got you. And that's going to make you an incredible expert in your field much faster, I think, than doing a one-on-one coaching kind of consulting or seminar kind of business. When you're working in a group coaching thing online, you get the opportunity to very quickly expand your knowledge and level of experience really, really fast. And I think that's not only just a great way to automate product delivery, but also to grow your skills.
So if you would start again, you would start from the group coaching right away, or is that?
No, I think it's important to start talking to one-on-one clients at the beginning, because that's the only way you're going to hone your skills to be good enough to talk to one-on-many.
Yeah.
Because if you start with one-on-many, you can fail in a much larger way very quickly.
Yeah.
So the way I always recommend people start coaching for free to your friends, to everyone, offer free coaching packages to everyone you can. And for a couple of months, just help for free so that you don't have the pressure of needing to perform because it's free, okay? And you can screw up and not, beat yourself up and have imposter syndrome. Then once you have the confidence, start one-on-one charging. And then once you have the confidence, build a group coaching program based on what you've learned. And I would start from scratch with the group coaching program the way I've done it now, where you have a home study program and you upsell group coaching, or you can do it the way I did and just sell a group coaching program and then separate it later on so that you have a cheaper option that people who can't afford your expensive option for group coaching can buy. And then you can build your funnel where the entry level is your free stuff on your website. Then for the people who can't really afford much, they can test you out for a couple $100 on your home study program. For the people who have some more money, they want your one-on-one help, they can join your group coaching calls every week. For the people who really want some personal help, they get on a one-on-one call with you for much, much more money. And then for the people who, have the ability and can afford $10,000-$15,000 to work with you, you do a private retreat with them, for example. That's the way I've structured my business. I call it house calls, where they fly me to them and I'll spend a weekend working with them. And then you get to choose. And that's the whole point here, is the freedom to choose how you build your business. Now, none of this will work for you unless you've got your marketing dialed in. And this is the thing most coaches don't like to learn. And this is like part number 3 of your business, or area number 3. We spoke about time automation, product delivery automation, marketing automation, and customer service automation. The marketing part is as important as anything is. And I want to share a story, and then I'll talk a little bit about how to get this dialed in. So when I was leading live events with Eric and my own seminar company, it got to the point where I was just living in airports and hotel rooms, and it was horrible. In the beginning, it was so glamorous. I was being flown around the world to speak, and I felt like a rock star. I was like, this is it, I've arrived. And after about 6 months, I was like, I hate my life. And so I realized that I needed to move my business online. This was maybe 20 years ago. And at that time, like, online courses weren't a thing even then. And I was one of the early people kind of trying this out. But I knew nothing about marketing. And I knew that, you can be the most brilliant mind in the world, but unless you know how to market yourself or your business, nobody's going to ever hear about you. Unless perhaps somebody else recognizes your genius and comes and bashes down your door and says, please, let me promote you for you. And the odds of that happening are probably 1 in 10,000. Okay, just nobody's going to bash down your door and see your genius and do the hard work that you need to be doing for yourself for you. You've got to at least have some understanding of marketing.
Unless you get to some level.
Well, how are you going to get to that level?
But first, you have to put the work in.
Exactly, to get to the level. And yeah, exactly. I mean, of course, there's going to be exceptions, but for most of us average people, that's the way it goes. So I did a marketing course, and it was a year-long program where I had to fly to America 3 or 4 times during the year, and it was an online course. There's tons of them out now. It was delivered by a guy called Eben Pagan, and any of Eben's work is incredible. He's one of the top marketing teachers, EbenPagan. And I learned the fundamentals of marketing, and that changed everything for me, because suddenly I understood how to communicate what I was doing. I understood my customers and what they needed to hear in order to feel comfortable buying. And when I was working with other marketers or people who would approach me, or I was hiring marketing agencies, I knew my customer better than they would ever know my customer. And I could educate them and vet their marketing. And it meant that everything we put out was far more likely to succeed than fail, because it started with an understanding of our customers' needs, the words they respond to, their pain points, the market, and how to communicate to them. And so I'm not saying you need to be a marketer, although that definitely helps. But I am saying you need to understand the basic foundational principles of marketing and have at least a familiarity and some ability to communicate effectively through your marketing channels, not just throwing stuff out and hoping it's going to stick. Otherwise, you'll spend hours crafting emails that'll do nothing for you. Okay. So that's the importance of marketing. Now, how do you automate all your marketing? Well, fortunately, that's really easy these days. So for me, I wish I had learned this back in the beginning, but I tried to do everything on the cheap because I didn't have any money in the beginning. I didn't have a ton of money to just blow. And I was relying purely on organic marketing. So I wasn't paying for advertising. It was just organic advertising. I put a couple of YouTube videos up and they flew. I got really lucky because being a public speaker, I naturally came across relatively well on camera, and that translated on YouTube, and my business kind of took off, but to a level, okay? When I wanted to scale and reach more people, I really needed to pay for paid advertising, and I wish I'd done that earlier. But you don't want to pay for paid advertising until you've tested your marketing strategy. Otherwise, if you haven't tested it and it bombs, you're going to lose a lot of money very quickly. Like I'm spending about now, today I looked at our ad spend, we're at, I think, $18,000 today alone. I paid Facebook just $18,000 for today's advertising. If my advertising doesn't work, I'm gonna, my bank account is going to be drained in seconds. You've got to test your advertising small, and the easiest way to do that if you don't have a budget when you're starting is to test it with organic traffic. So put some YouTube videos out there or some articles on a blog or something, drive some free traffic to your website and track what happens. For every person that arrives, how many people sign up to your newsletter? For every person that gets onto your newsletter, how many people end up buying your product? That's all you need to know. Like just a simple tracking of how it works, and you'll get a percentage. My conversion rate for newsletter signups is 2%. Oh my gosh, that's abysmal. I'll never make any money from paid advertising if I haven't got that sorted first. So with your marketing understanding, you can now improve your marketing so that when you start to expand and grow and you start paying money for Facebook to send you traffic, for example, you're going to hit a home run straight out the gate. And I want that for you, because one failed marketing attempt could, drain your bank balance. And that's scary. And having the confidence to have tested your marketing, because you've learned a little bit about marketing, you've tested it on free organic traffic, it'll give you the confidence to take the risk to begin paying for traffic. And I don't really recommend that you do that yourself. I recommend finding a good person to handle your paid traffic for you, but you have to be able to guide them on what to do, because otherwise they'll just make it up and chances are they'll fail the first time out. So how do you automate marketing? So in my experience, the best marketing strategy is email marketing. It's personal. It's people still open emails, and it's trackable, so you know whether or not it's working or not. And you get people on a mailing list, you provide them value, you send them valuable emails, and every second or third email, you provide some extra value while promoting your product. And I'll give you a couple of simple rules about email marketing. Probably the most important rule you need to know is always be giving. Always be giving, don't be taking. Okay? Don't be asking for anything from email. Email is not a place to sell. It's like, imagine a Jehovah's Witness walks onto your door, knocks on your door, and opens the door and tries to convert you. You're going to slam the door in their face before they even, get inside the house. Because your home is not a place to sell people things. Selling should happen in sales rooms. Like you go to a car dealership, you're getting ready to be sold a car. You're expecting to be sold a car at a car dealership. You're not offended when they try and sell to you. You're expecting it and you're kind of braced, ready for it, right? But if somebody comes to your house and tries to sell you on your doorstep, it's rude. This is my house, dude. Go away. Same way with email. This is my inbox, dude. Don't sell to me in my inbox. That's the fastest way to get people to close your emails, and it's the biggest beginner mistake everybody makes, okay? In your emails, you want to be sending them to your website. Your website is your sales room where you're going to sell to them, okay? So remember that emails are for giving. Give them value, give them amazing stuff, and then send them to your website to convert them to your sales page. Don't make the mistake of selling via emails. One of the biggest mistakes people make. You'll lose your mailing list. They'll stop responding and opening your emails very, very quickly. And then automate everything when it comes to email. So I never send one-off emails. Like at the time, I didn't have an automation sequence. Every time I got inspired, I'd spend 5 hours writing an email, and then I'd send it to my mailing list. But then what I would do is I'd put that email into an automation sequence. And once I got like 20 emails, I started classifying them under categories. So one email was about sex. You know, the category, so one category was like sex, another category was like conflict, another category was talking about money. And I realized, oh, I had 3 emails about talking about money. Let me turn that into an email series. I have 5 emails about sex. Let me put those all together and somehow make them link together. And now I have an email sequence of about 70 emails that spans about 3 months. And I haven't written an email to my mailing list, I'm guessing, in about 8 years. Okay. They just get the same emails I wrote at the beginning, all 70 of them. If they don't buy from me by the time those 70 emails are done, I delete them from my mailing list. They're obviously not interested. Okay. And that way I keep my mailing list trimmed and full of people who are potential leads, and I'm not writing emails. Sometimes emails would take me 12, 16 hours to write because I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and I want them to be good and funny. And now we've got AI, and AI can help you write emails so much faster. But take the time to write incredible emails, but do it once, put them in an email sequence. I use ActiveCampaign and send them out. And if they don't respond by buying to your emails within that time, delete them. And that way, you've just got a list full of potential leads and interested people. And that way you won't be writing emails forever and ever. I know a lot of email marketers who every week are stressing out having to write the next email to their list. Once you've got a couple of months worth of emails, you can slow down. Like, for example, once I had 20 emails on my list, I wouldn't write one every week. I would write one every month, and slower, I'd start adding them to the list. What I highly recommend you do, though, in the beginning is schedule to write 1 email to your list a week. And then after 1 year of that, you'll have 52 emails. And if you can stick to that schedule, you'll have 1 year of email writing on your mailing list, and you'll never have to write an email again. And you'll be free, And that's also starting with the end in mind, that kind of that principle. So ActiveCampaign is a great option. There's many other cheaper options if you need to. What I love about ActiveCampaign is that it is so automatable. It does a whole lot of other things. So ActiveCampaign talks to my course membership software. And when certain things happen in my membership software, ActiveCampaign can send an email. So like when they've finished a particular quiz, for example, in my membership software, ActiveCampaign can send an email that says, hey, turns out you're this personality type. I've got another product that teaches you specifically how to deal with healing your childhood trauma from being this particular personality type. Maybe you want to go and check it out. It'll really help you and your partner end conflict. And it integrates. You can do lots of little backwards and forth integrations like that some of the cheaper options don't do. And that later on really helps automate marketing. It can do promotion. You know what? I'm not going to promote ActiveCampaign, but for me, ActiveCampaign is the most feature-rich. It's also the most complicated system to start learning in the beginning, but it is the most feature-rich. And feature-rich is important if you want automation. And for me, automation equals freedom. I was like, I don't care about the learning curve. All the reviews said ActiveCampaign is a steep learning curve. I was like, if it can set me free, I will bite the bullet, take a month to learn ActiveCampaign and, suffer the learning curve and be free for the rest of my life. Done. Boom. And then the final thing is automating customer service. And this involves humans, which is the most complicated part of any business. And now it can involve AI. So we've got AI writing 50% of our emails right now, our customer service emails, our inquiries, our leads. We have a piece of software that plugs into our browser, and it reads the email that arrived. It reads all the previous threads. We click respond. I've trained the AI to respond in my voice or in my, so my customer service team's voice. And we just hit write, and it writes the email. Did I show that to you the other day?
No.
No, I'll have to show you one. It's amazing. It just writes the email, and then we just proofread it up, send, boom, done. Suddenly, our emails response time has gone down to, it's like $30 a month. and I pay my customer service people $15 an hour. So that's 2 hours. You know, I mean, it saves us probably 40 hours a month just getting AI to write half of the stuff. The other way to automate it is to templatize everything. So all your templatized emails. So we came into this AI thing having already got a big file full of email templates over the years, so that my customer service team would get an email, they'd understand it, they just copy and paste the template, boom, done. You need to start doing that from the beginning right now. Take track of what are the most commonly asked questions that I get asked. Create an FAQ for your website anyway, so hopefully that they don't email you with the question to start with. So like above my contact form on my website, it's like, there's a message that kind of says, please don't email us. You'll get a much faster response if you read the FAQ first. If you can't find the answer there, email us, but you'll have to wait up to 24 hours to get your response. You know, telling them about the cost of waiting 24 hours often has them go to the FAQ and get the answer themselves first. Because otherwise, we just got so much email. That already took a little bit off the FAQ, but then we fed our email templates to the AI.
Mhm.
And the AI now knows our email templates, and so it does what the customer service person does. It's not perfect, but it's pretty darn good, and you'll wonder how you ever lived without it afterwards. So I'm going to give you an affiliate link, because for every person that signs up to this AI service, I get one free email written for me every day. That's their little AI thing. So the service is called Ellie, but please don't go directly to the website. Just write this down. You can type it in there maybe for them in the chat. It's loveatfirstfight.com/Ellie. Loveatfirstfight, FIGHT.com/ELLIE. That's my affiliate link. Yeah, perfect. Loveatfirstfight.com/Ellie. Perfect. Yeah. I don't get paid anything if you buy their product. I just get one free email written for me a day by Ellie, or my team does. So they have various different packages. It's so worth it. It'll automate your customer service, which will give you more time to do what you do best, which I'm assuming is help people create courses and build a business. So that's, I got a couple of one or two more quick tips, and then I'm going to just be with you guys to answer questions. That's the gist of what I wanted to offer you here today. As I was kind of wandering up and down the beach the other day, I was thinking what I could share with you that would be useful. One of the things that's really helped me out is as you grow your business, everybody's going to ask you for a subscription. They want $10 a month for you, or $30 a month if you get Ellie, or whatever it is. These subscriptions add up. And when you're starting out as an entrepreneur, it can get scary. You know, when you're paying $200-300 a month and you're not getting, you know, a ton of money coming in, you can be afraid you're going to break the bank. I started with the end in mind again, and I was lucky. I had a few $1,000s savings, but I would try and buy lifetime software. So for whatever software you're using to automate your business, if there is an option, buy once and buy for life, if you're certain that this software is good and you want to keep using it, buy that option. Like I bought Webinar Jam, which is an automated webinar software. And so basically the way my marketing funnel works is you see an ad of mine on Facebook, you get sent to an automated webinar. I bought that software for life at the time.
$297.
Yeah, exactly.
I got it.
You got it too. For $297 for life. It's now, I think, $497 a year.
No, it's 1,000 plus the web.
Oh, 1,000
separately.
Oh wow, 1,000 plus a year. Okay, I got it for life.
You can get like a lower version, but the version, because we have the max version, so they give us the what $1,000 a year.
I reckon I could sell my Ever Webinar account for like $20,000 right now, my lifetime account, just transferred to somebody else. I bought it for $397 for life when they were starting out as a company. The other thing I did that was with Thrivecart. Thrivecart's a shopping cart piece of software. For $500, I got their lifetime shopping cart, and I've got everything Thrivecart, a free shopping cart for life. Now, you got to hope they stay in business for life. You know, there's no guarantees. They may go out of business. But a lot of companies start out offering lifetime access at the beginning so that they can raise some capital instead of a monthly subscription. And it's worth taking up those offers at the beginning. And then, this is going to sound like stupid advice, but keep your expenses as low as possible. Like, unless you've got, a fairy godmother who throws money at you, or founders who are kind of funding you, like venture capitalists who are funding you, even then, keep your business lean and mean. And, I once, one of my friends is one of the top business coaches in the world, Brian Franklin. And I asked him, like, what he teaches, because he works with people who are billionaires in their businesses. And he's like, I was like, dude, what do you teach these guys? He's like, I just teach them pretty complex business strategies, like spend less than you earn. That was his number one lesson. No, really.
For billionaires.
For billionaires. Spend less than you earn was his number one business coaching advice to billionaires. Like, often they would have these enormous businesses, but they'd be so inefficient, and they'd be hemorrhaging money everywhere. And it was just luck half the time that they were still in business, because they'd got fallen lucky on like a great market or something. And I think it's such great advice. Like, don't feel like you're being cheap. Be cheap in the beginning. You can be expensive later on when you got the money to be expensive. Be cheap. Start out looking for quality at the lowest price. Don't buy the crappiest stuff, but look for quality at the lowest price. Don't waste your money on business cards. Nobody needs a business card. Don't waste your money on fancy branding. Nobody needs, you don't need a fancy website. What you need is a sales funnel that works, okay? I know, like my friend Evan, my marketing teacher, Evan Pagan, he was the first person to build a multi-million-dollar business selling ebooks on the internet. His ebooks didn't have fancy covers that looked like this. They were PDF ebooks written in Georgia font, with the title in Georgia font and just black text, nothing fancy. He built $1 million business selling dating advice ebooks back in the year 2000, when everybody else was going to publishers and spending thousands on fancy designs and fancy websites. You don't need that. What you need is to provide value and get good at giving your craft away. All right, so that's what I got for you guys. I hope there was something in there that was valuable. I'm happy to stick around and answer questions. Shoot.
Yeah, so actually a couple of questions you had beforehand, and then relate to what you're telling. First of all, super great to hear that. How many of you are glad you're here? You're glad that we got Bruce here. Yeah, it's just super awesome. And so Lisa asked a question of how do you still stay authentic with your clients when everything is automated and all that? How do you keep that authenticity part? Like all the courses and all that, but when you're live with one-on-one, then it's easier in a way. But how do you keep that on
practice?
On that
practice. Well, firstly, don't be inauthentic ever. It's probably rule number one. It's you need to make a rule to yourself. I am always going to be authentic. I am never going to compromise myself and lie and bullshit my clients. So don't pretend, don't say something that is, don't lie. I don't know how else to say it. And then you're authentic, share your heart. When you speak into a video, or you're speaking a video script, for example, all my new courses are all scripted. I used to just ad lib them and just have a bunch of bullet points, and I get in front of a camera and shoot the videos. And it was great. It was really off the cuff. But as I've kind of gotten older, there's a lot more stuff that I feel is really important that I don't want to miss out. And when I'm shooting videos that are unscripted, I often miss out some of the details because I get sidetracked with another thought, and so I started shooting with a teleprompter, which can kill the feeling of authenticity, because people can read from the teleprompter and sound like, "Hi, my name's Bruce. Welcome to my course. It's wonderful to have you here," and it just loses all of its sense of authenticity. Get good at practicing talking into a camera, reading from a teleprompter, and keeping your voice. It's going to take you about a month, and here's how to do it. Firstly, you need to get good at talking into a camera authentically before you get good at talking into a teleprompter into a camera authentically. The way to do this is mirror work. Go and stand in front of the mirror and lead your seminars to yourself in front of the bathroom mirror and see your facial expressions and watch. Spend half an hour a day for a month doing that. And at the end, you'll be able to talk to nobody and sound like you're talking to your best friend sitting in front of you. Don't sound like you're talking to an audience. You don't want to be, hi, everybody, I'm Bruce. No, because on the other side of the screen, there is no everybody. Even though right now on Zoom, I'm seeing like however many of you on the screen, I know on your computer, it's just you staring into your computer screen. I want to be talking to, hi, Marika. I'm Bruce. Nice to meet you. Give me 2 thumbs up if you're enjoying this. Awesome. You're amazing. That's the tone of voice I can deliver when I'm talking to one person. When I'm talking to many, I'm going to be, hi, everyone. And then I lose Marika. She's like, he's not really talking to me. Like, when I talk to Marika personally, she feels special. She feels like I've called her out. Obviously, you can't do that in a non-live format, but that tone of voice, it's what's going to make you sound authentic to people. Practice in front of the mirror first. Then get a teleprompter and practice reading from your teleprompter in that same tone of voice as if you were talking to one person. And if you've learned to talk to a camera, first, reading a teleprompter will be so much easier because you'll know the tone of voice. You'll have heard yourself. You'll have seen your facial expressions in the mirror. And by the time it comes to reading a script of a teleprompter, it's going to be a lot easier. And that's how you keep your authenticity when you're automating through videos, for example. The other thing is just don't pretend stuff isn't automated. So don't say, I'm leading a live webinar, and it's pre-recorded, and you're fine.
Yeah. And actually, you're talking about you build your course. How can you build a course like that? Is it just the practice, or is there some other things that you now pretty much have the main thing is your course, one course that is, or you have multiple courses, or how do you like?
I have multiple courses, but
how do you build the course where you don't have to have this live part of it in it? So what are key?
But how do you structure a course, or
how do you one thing structure, but also like how any key components, how do you put together a course like that and what you built?
When you say components, do you mean technological components, or like I'm not understanding the question completely?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. What I want to understand is that you built a course that is really robust, that really works standalone, you not being live with people. So what are key components of doing something like that?
Getting them to follow through without you being there. That's the hardest part.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got to build in retention mechanisms. So on average, 5 to 15% of people who buy courses online finish them. 5 to 15%. Okay. That means at best, 15% of your people are going to do your course. Okay. That's abysmal, right? The rest are going to forget about it, or they're going to ask for a refund, or blah, blah, blah. You've got to get them to be engaged, and you have to retain them. And the way you do that is through accelerated learning. There's many great books on accelerated learning, but it essentially involves keeping them involved in the learning process I prompt them with emails. So let's say, I'll give you an example. After having led the course for a couple of years, I noticed that around about week 4, people would drop off. I could see in my statistics, they would stop coming back to the course after the 4th week. So I put a break after the 4th week so that they could have a week off to catch up if they were behind, because life had happened. And in the 3rd week, I sent them an email saying, are you falling behind? If so, don't worry, you're totally normal, nothing wrong here. Don't worry, there's a break coming up in week 4. Let me help guide you back on track. Here's what I recommend you do to get back on track. And I get a little thing on it, and then boom, suddenly they stopped falling off after week 4, and a much greater percentage of them made it to the end of the course simply with an email to compensate. I kept them engaged and interactive. I've been doing a little bit with you, like saying, guys, give me a thumbs up, or raise your hand, or how many of you here are coaches? I'm trying to get you to interact back with me so that I keep your attention. Otherwise, I'm going to bore you. You can do the same thing in a course. by giving them quizzes to fill out, worksheets to fill in, a community in the course to collaborate with other course members on, and then reminder emails. So my course is 7 weeks long, my main course. It's called the Conflict Cure, and it has full of reminders along the way that they get sent, reminding them to finish an exercise, reminding them that I think they're amazing. And what I'm always trying to do with all my emails, I'm training people to open my emails. I never want to get a customer who sees Bruce's emails and goes, oh, I can ignore that. I want them to see Bruce's emails and go, oh my God, Bruce sent me an email. This is awesome. I want to open it. How do you do that? You make sure every email delivers delight or value in some way. And, ChatGPT and AI can help you do this by, sharing a personal story. And, if you guys want an example, if you want to see how I've built my business, just go sign up to my free mailing list. Go to loveatfirstfight.com, put your email address in there, and you'll see what I've done from the very first email, how it's been automated, and the kind of how I've kept my authenticity there. And you can model some of those ideas, even if you're in a completely different coaching niche than I am. Did that answer your question?
Yeah. It's
I could need a whole 2-hour talk on that
exactly.
topic alone.
You can really about these key moments, so key components. That's really cool. So the next step was you talked about the marketing and then not selling an email, which is, I've done that a lot. I still do that. So and Annika had a good question. So how do you send them to your webpage from value add email without selling? So what do you? How do you plug that in? Go to your webpage.
Get on my mailing list. That's how to do it. Basically, like, watch how I do it at my mailing list. I'm not saying I'm the world's best at it, but essentially you transition. So I sometimes start by telling a story, and that's grabs them from the beginning, and then that story has a point, and then I convert it back to their situation. So I'll tell a story about how maybe my wife and I overcame one of our challenges in our marriage. And then I'll say to them, if you guys can relate, not you guys, because I'm talking to one person in my email, remember, one person. If you can relate, you may want to check out my course, The Conflict Cure. You can learn more about it here. That's all I say about my course. One little line, okay? It's an email this long, but there's one little line. You may want to learn about it here. Boom. Sometimes I'll do a special promotional offer where I'll say, I got 100 off. Like when somebody's been on my mailing list for 1 week and they haven't bought yet, I do a 3-day special promotional offer. And during those 3 days, I'm selling a lot more. I send them like, you've got a $200 discount. It expires at midnight. Don't miss out. Because I know that if somebody doesn't buy in the first week, the odds of them buying afterwards are a whole lot less. I really want to get them before they started kind of ignoring my emails because they're getting busy. A week is like long enough to build a relationship. So I don't sell anything for the first 5 days. I just build relationship for the first 5 days. And that way I'm getting them to know me, to like me, to trust me. And then day 7, I offer them a free masterclass webinar. Day 8, 9, and 10, I sell like crazy to get them to go to the website. So I'm not describing the course and saying, here's what you're going to get in the email, but I am saying there's a special offer on now. If you've gotten value from, my previous stuff, go to my website. And I do it for 3 days. I sell. They get 6 emails that are sales emails that send them to the website to make the decision. And then I don't sell again for like another week. And then I send, it's just emails with little recommendations at the bottom or little links to articles or value posts. Like I'll send them to a blog post. And so I'll write a whole email full of value. I'll say, hey, or I'll just write a short email. It's this long, say, hey, I wrote a blog post. Check this out. It sends them to the website. They read the blog post. The bottom of the blog post is like, go check out my course. And it sells again on the website. So that's how I do that.
But how often asked how often you send out emails when they come to your list? We can see that, but if it's join the list, but you How often you
I
send?
start off once a day. And then I'm not saying this is the right way to do it. This is just how I do it. I know that when somebody signs up to my list, according to research, you've got like a week or so while they're most fresh to buy. And the way I see it, I've got a week to build trust, to build credibility, to build brand awareness, to build product awareness, and to convince them that I am the guy to solve their problem for them. It's a lot to ask in a week.
Yeah.
I also cannot be selling myself or selling my company or my product in that week because they're like, I don't even know you, dude. Like, I've got to get them to like me first. So I tell stories. I give away tons of free information. If you're on my website, loveatfirstfight.com, you're going to sign up for a free course called Love Unlocked. So I get them to sign up by offering them a free 5-day course. And in that course, I'm helping them for free. So I kind of become their free help. By the time the sales emails come, they're like, oh, thank God. Now I know how to buy. I was like, how do I get this guy's course? Man, he's good. I like him. And then at the end, they want to buy from me because I've proven to them that I can help them. They like me already. And then I don't have to convince them too much. But I also can't wait too long, because if I don't demonstrate that I can help them straight away, they're going to get distracted by life. We're all busy, you know?
Yeah. Oh, that's good. So the week part, that's really good to know that
that's the way I think of it.
You have about a week to
while they're hottest. I'm not saying they're not going to buy after a week, but
of course.
I just think that's the hottest time. Strike while the iron's hot. After that, I mean, some people write back to me 2 years later saying, haven't got an email from you in a year, but I remember you. I just bought your course and I'm so glad that I did, you know, like they'll remember.
Yeah. What are you using for the course delivery, Secret Test?
I've used many things over the years. Currently, I'm using Thrive Apprentice. It's very advanced. It's a little buggy sometimes, and I'm not certain I made the best decision there all the time, but it's a good piece of software. There are easier pieces of software out there, and if you're just starting out, you may want to look at something like Kajabi. I have a very complex backend setup because I'm working with 2 people doing a course in tandem. I have to synchronize their participation, like a husband and a wife, or a boyfriend and a girlfriend, or whatever.
So you have different content for
well, I have different access, and sometimes you know, sometimes one partner signs up 4 weeks later. So the wife buys the course and the husband is like, I want a divorce, screw you. I'm not doing any course with you. And then she starts doing it by herself. And as she starts changing, the husband's like, I see some changes. And eventually he 4 weeks later says, okay, I want to join her. And then he's going to join her at 4 weeks, at week 4 in the course, because they only get access to my course for 7 weeks. While they're doing it. I do that so that they have a time crunch, so that they are pushed to finish the course. And they actually, that's another way. Remember you asked me earlier, how do I get people to finish the course if completion rate's only 15%? I take the course away if they don't finish it, and I make them pay, right? That's what I figured a really effective way to work. So they
have to pay if they want to.
They want to access the course for 7 weeks, they have to pay me another $200. And I do that to give them a time crunch. What's actually, I give them 9 weeks to do the 7-week course. So they get 2 weeks extra if they don't finish in the 7 weeks. But I found the minute I did that, my completion rate skyrocketed. Now people have got pain, and they're like, okay, we better finish the course. And that means they improve their marriage and get the results. That means I get 1,000 more testimonials because they actually finished the course. So that's, and that also means I can upsell them another product for $200 called lifetime access. And I can sell them something more in my funnel afterwards, which means I can reduce the front end cost of the course. So instead of selling the course for $500 now, I can sell the course for $300, which means I get more customers. Anyway, you get the idea.
Yeah. And one of the questions Anneli actually before asked, and we went pricing, like how's that evolved? Like, you know, did you initially sold your things on a lower price? Have you increased that, or like over the years, how's that like changed? And where is that now? Because you mentioned about 200 or so, a few $100 is your the course, but then next levels and what are
So
they?
I've lowered my pricing. Because I was a one-man band, I didn't do things the right way. The right way to do things is to test every price level and see what works best. And I haven't done that enough yet, and I will be doing that more in the future. The problem with testing price levels is that it means I need to change all my marketing to a new price, refilm sales videos, and it's so, I should have done it from the beginning. So in the beginning, for 10 years, I had the same price. $500 do my group coaching program. It was way too cheap after a while, but I didn't want to go through the hassle of dealing with refilming everything, and it was working well enough. And I was riding motorbikes, I wasn't that involved, I was making more money than I could spend. So I was like, I don't want to be, a billionaire. I want to be happy, and a 7-figure business, I can't spend a tenth of the money I make. Like, I really can't, I live on $5,000 a month. We have a nice apartment by the beach. We own 6 motorcycles scattered around the globe, and we travel a lot. And we live in a third world country where you can go down the road and buy food for $1. It's like, that was part of the reason why I actually succeeded so early on, was living here where the cost of living was so cheap. And I was living off $1,000 a month, and built my course and filmed it in my little 1-bedroom apartment, the first course. And I kind of wish I had my laptop here and I could show you the videos and how crummy they looked. Like, they literally, I went to the hardware store and I bought some workman's lights, those yellow lights that you find on construction sites. And I bought a little handheld camera off Amazon for $50 and stuck it on the table. And I stood with my back against a wall, looked terrible, and started talking. I didn't know how to film videos and how to create a set. I wasn't a cameraman, and I had no money to hire a camera team. And I sold that for 10 years, and built a 7-figure business of that thing. So I got a little distracted. What was the question?
The pricing and that.
Oh, so now what's happened is I've split my course off. So in the beginning, I made the mistake. This is good question, because I made the mistake of putting everything I knew at the time into one course and only having one product. So the course covered conflict, sex, personality typing, understanding each other, like everything. And I knew a lot. And I was like, I'm just going to give them all of this value. And they loved it. I don't know how much of it they implemented because it might have overwhelmed them. So now what I did is, knowing after having done this for 10 years, I knew all the different areas that my customers were stuck with, all their problems. There were 5 big problem areas: trust, sex, conflict, blah, 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 blah. I made a course for each of those areas. And so I created the conflict cure. I created trust again. I created attract your ex back. I created all aboard, how to get your partner on board if they're reluctant to improve your marriage. I created heal the affair and whatever other products. And now I've got, so instead of having one $500 product, I've got multiple products that I can upsell. So my prices have gone down so I can reach more people. And the back end has gone up. They now will pay less up front, but they pay for lifetime access. They pay for the Trust Again course or the other courses or the whatever. And there's more profit on the back end, which means we can spend more at Facebook on the front end. So, I don't have to. So my average cost to get somebody to buy my course right now is like, I don't know, between $80 and $100. So every client we get costs us $80 and $100 per client. And they buy a $300 product. So that's $200 product profit, not a lot. But on the back end, I'm upselling them all aboard, Trust Again. I'm just creating a new $1,000 course called Better Together. There's like a whole bunch of stuff that gets sold on the back end. And by the time they've done the front end course, I am their guru in their eyes. They're like, Bruce is the man. He saved my marriage. Whatever Bruce says, I will do. If he says buy Better Together, I will spend $1,000 and buy Better Together because it's Bruce and I trust him and he's delivered so much to my marriage. Why would I not? And that's the kind of coach relationship you want to build with your clients. Like, give them a banger of a course that solves their problem and makes them think they owe you their life. Like, people write me emails saying, my children's future lies in your hands. Please help us. And I'm like in tears, like when they write that. And they write me at the end, you saved our marriage and you saved our children. You know, like when I say to them, you guys need to buy better together, they're like, we'll remortgage the house to buy better together. That's how you build a business based on trust. You know?
Yeah. Oh, I had another question, but I just lost it. Because it's like, oh, that's it's really big. Oh, so you are all about relationship, but what if like someone is like doing like different topics? So like, so how do you like, you've done all these emails, you have like, around the relationship, you're giving them different areas, like, different parts. You have 7 emails that, they opt in, but what if you like someone has like, you do different topics? So how do you do that?
I mean, you're a coach who coaches on like wellness, and then on business.
You do like different topics, like.
You mean like our good friend Eric Edmeades?
Yeah, like Eric.
Don't do that. It's a terrible idea, I think. And Eric has gotten really lucky only because he's Eric.
Yeah.
I was watching an interview with some billionaire the other day on YouTube. And like the interviewer, like every interviewer would ask him, like, what's your secret to success? And he said, one thing young people today don't realize is the power of doing one thing over and over again for 30 years of your life. He said, I just showed up and went to work and built my business every day. That was my secret to becoming a billionaire. You cannot not succeed if you do the same thing for 30 years of your life. Eventually, that thing is going to, all the problems or the mistakes you made will eventually get ironed out, and eventually you'll have that moment where it explodes. But if you're spread too thin, now, Eric has been doing one thing, granted, for his whole life. He's been teaching like me.
Yeah.
So he has been doing one thing. He's taught a couple of different topics, but I wouldn't recommend doing that just because you spread yourself thin. I've done it too, and I spread myself thin, and then people don't know who you are. Are you the business guy, or are you the health coach guy, or are you the relationship guy? Like, you can be all three, but you will never be the best in the world at any one of them if you do all three. And in today's competitive market, where you're competing against thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of coaches, you've got to stand out as being really good and unique at what you do. And one way to stand out is to be one of the best. Another way is to be unique. I wouldn't do that again. But if you do have, it's also so much work. You know how much work I put into doing this just for one business? I wouldn't be alive today. I would have burnt out if I tried to do it for 2.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my answer.
Yeah, well, that's great. And then I have to tell, it's been so many great golden nuggets here, because I have to rethink many things in terms of what I'm doing. Like, how many of you feel that way, that you would need to rethink some of the things you are doing in your business? Yeah. So any last things that you would like to say, like, you conclude everything that you've shared here in terms of like building a business, automating your things? And
yeah, I do. I want to tell you how hard this is going to be. I don't want to lie to you and you think that this happened easily for me just because I was riding dirt bikes around the world. It's hard work. You're going to have to grow yourself and become a more capable version of who you are right now. You're going to have to learn things you don't want to learn. You're going to have to stay up late at night when things break and customers are complaining that, your website went down or something, or whatever it is. There'll always be problems, and it's worth it. And it's worth it because you will grow. There is no easy path where it's easy. But I will say this. If you're like me, don't compromise on your lifestyle. And what that means is, don't let your business take over your life. Being successful in your business is not the most important. It's important, but you know what's the most important? And this is from the 5 regrets of the dying, is your family. That's what's important. Spend time with your family. Spend time with your friends. Spend time doing what you love. Enjoy your life, and then build your business so that it supports your life. That is what a lifestyle business is. And then if you die 3 years from now, you're not going to be lying in your deathbed with cancer, about to die, regretting that you wasted the last 3 years of your life neglecting your family and working so hard that you burnt yourself out, got cancer, and died. Don't kill yourself, right? Like, I built this business slowly. You know, I built it slowly. I built it while traveling around the world. You know, I was working, whenever I worked my ass off, but I also played my ass off at the same time. And I think it's very easy to get caught up in the hustle culture of hustle, 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 especially when you're, you know, part of masterminds like this that are all about business, and you're with other business people, and it's all about business, make money, you know, like, I don't know, like, part of me wants to say, fuck success. Like, success isn't really
play your ass off. I like that.
So, like, success in business is not the be all and end all. It, as far as I'm concerned, if you want to have a healthy, balanced lifestyle and be on your deathbed one day and go, I lived a full life, I gave it all, I loved fully, I'm left this planet better than the way I found it. You know, like, don't get so, working hard is really important. I work my ass off. I really do. I'm a super hard worker. If you ask my wife, she'll tell you, even when I'm not working, I'm working in my head, thinking about how I can improve things. But, you know, I go dirt biking for 8 hours a week, like 4 hours at a time, twice a week. I'm on a dirt bike. At least once a year, my wife and I are on a 3-month dirt bike adventure where we're riding motorcycles for 3 months, traveling the world. You know, I'm visiting. Last week, I spent 3 weeks not working at all with my mom in South Africa, spending Christmas with my mom. Like, I have a balanced life because I don't want to compromise what's important. Now, you can't always do that. That's the other reality. There will be phases in your life where you will spend a month and you won't even go outside. I'm in one of those phases right now. Like, my business is growing so fast. I'm answering emails. I haven't answered an email in my business for years. I have to help my wife and our other employee. We just hired our first employee other than my wife a month ago. But even that's not enough to keep up with the total barrage of email. And my Facebook guy who's doing my Facebook ads for me is saying, dude, like, stop telling me to stop spending money. I want to be spending $50,000 a day, not $20,000 a day. Like, come on, dude. I'm like, I can't. We haven't got enough staff. And so now I'm hiring staff. And this is a problem I never thought I'd have to face, you know, and it's only because customer service can only be automated to a degree. Everything else, all the system stuff is still ticking along just fine. Like, the course is being delivered without me. My marketing is going on without me. I'm not involved in any of that. But there's just too many emails. Our inbox is so full. I'm helping out, hiring people now. And I'm also answering emails while my wife has to have a life. She can't work 7 days a week. So I'm like, I haven't left the house in about a week right now. And I know this is how life goes when you're an entrepreneur. There'll be phases where you have to work your ass off and it looks like you have no life balance. That's fine. It's totally okay. As long as I take a month off afterwards and go get on my dirt bike and go and get some life balance back. All I'm trying to say is, like, the business isn't the only thing. It's not the most important thing. And this is going to be hard. Don't expect it to be easy. And if you have good work ethic and you put your family first and your lifestyle first, you're going to be fine.
That's awesome. Thanks.
Over and out. Goodbye.
Yeah. So you can join in with your sound on and then just share some love to Bruce, because, you know, I just want to say thank you, Bruce. Just knowing that what's going on in his business currently, there's so many things. He took the time to be with us here. So just show Bruce some love, share. And what we want to hear your voices sing.
Thank you. I have to unmute them all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce.
The pleasure,
Thank
guys.
you.
Thank you
Absolute
so
pleasure.
much. Thank you.
Absolute
Thank you
pleasure.
so much.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thanks. Bye. Thank you.
Awesome. Pleasure, guys.
Thank you. So we're off here, but Reelika, turn to Estonian now. Me paneme siit korra kinni, aga Reelikal on veel paar asja, mis teiega jagab, aga igal juhul aitäh ja näeme juba järgmisel kokkusaamisel Laitsa siis Eestis tagasi. Ciao.
Thanks for having me here.
Thank you.
Ja super äge, suur aitäh teile ka kõigile, kes te siin kohal olite ja sellest ägedusest osa saite. Et see kell on nüüd täpselt selline, et see lubatud aeg, mil on aeg kokku tõmmata, on kätte jõudnud ja aga teiega tahaks ka niisugust mingit jagamist teha. Ma arvan, et paneme mingi postituse Facebooki gruppi ülesse, kus saate oma taipamisi ja kõike seda head kraami, mis teieni siit jõudis, ka teistega jagada, et sellele veel suuremat energiat anda. Aga ma tahtsin lihtsalt meelde tuletada seda, et Laitse osas, kes soovib ööbima jääda, siis sellele majutuse lingile vajutada, mis ma e-kirja panin ja siis endale tuba välja valida ja rahulolu küsitlus on ootamas jätkuvalt, kui on veel kellelgi mahti sellele vastata ja siis need minu personaalsed Zoomi kõnede ajad ootavad ka väljavalimist. Ja siis Harri imeline pakkumine, mida saite vaadata siin laivis ja siis saate otsustada, kas lähete sellele ägedale teekonnale, mida Wildfit pakub. Et sellised väiksed meeldetuletused teile ja saadan selle Zoomi salvestuse ka, nii et panen sinna ka need samad lingid juurde, et siis saate kõige viimasest meilist kõik kätte, kes soovib veel millestki osa saada. Aga kui teil on nüüd veel mõni küsimus tekkinud, siis saate seda siin küsida, aga kui ei, et siis suur aitäh teile ja igal hetkel, kui tekib küsimus, siis saate minu poole pöörduda. Nii et naudime siis seda õhtut, mis meil tänast jäänud on ja uute kohtumisteni siis, kui mitte varem, siis Laitses.
Aitäh.
Tšau.
Tšau.
Aitäh teile.
Aitäh.
Ja tšau.